From deadly islands to haunted mental asylums to even cursed cities. Today, let's take a look at some of the scariest abandoned places that you should never visit. Starting off this countdown, we have Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Located in Kentucky, this hospital was originally built in 1910 as a hospital for patients with tuberculosis. Sadly, tons of the patients there ended up dying. The hospital did more harm to them than good. Rumor goes that the hospital was mistreating their patients and conducting experiments on them. In fact, they had an area in the hospital that they called the death tunnel or body chute. That's where they would dump the deceased. It's also said that one of the nurses hung herself in room 502, and in that same room, another nurse died from falling out of the window. The hospital closed in 1961 upon the discovery of an antibiotic that could treat and cure tuberculosis. As a result, there was no need for the hospital, and so it closed. Now, it's said that it's an extremely haunted building. Apparently, people have seen tons of apparitions there. The famous one being a ghost of a boy named Tommy. Tommy loves to play with this rubber ball, and he'll run from room to room. So it's said that if you roll a small ball down the hallway, Timmy will roll it back to you. At least he seems like a friendly ghost. Moving on at number 9, we have Eastern State Penitentiary. Built in 1829, Eastern State Penitentiary is known for housing some of the biggest criminals, like Al Capone. The conditions of this prison weren't the best. Prisoners were kept in complete solitude. They weren't allowed to see anybody else, just the guards. In fact, whenever they would leave their cell, a guard would place a bag over their head for when they're walking down the hallway. So they literally couldn't see anyone else. They wouldn't let them. But they didn't stop there. The guards would often torture them. They would soak the inmates in cold water and then let them dry outside in the winter time, so they would freeze. The list goes on and on of all the gruesome things that they did to the prisoners there. The prison closed in 1971, and now apparently it's haunted. Is there a theme in this video? I think so. And at number 8, we have Wittenoom, Australia. Located 1,420 kilometers northeast of Perth, Australia, Wittenoom is considered one of Australia's deadliest towns. Now, you would think that this would be because of Australia's, massive insects and snakes and stuff, but no, that has nothing to do with it. It's because of blue asbestos. In 1937, blue asbestos was discovered in the city's gorge. Years later, miners were unearthing tons of asbestos from the ground. It wasn't until 1978 that the government started pushing people out of their homes, saying it was deadly to live there. It was increasing the risk for cancer, and in some cases, people were already developing lung cancer just by living there. Now, it was said to cost the town $2.43 million to get rid of the asbestos, so instead they just shut down the town completely and evicted everyone. In 2006, the government turned off power to the town, and it's been removed from all maps and road signs. In fact, all roads that once led to this town are now closed off. And if you try to enter the town, you'll see huge warning signs that are literally like, turn back, turn back. Why would you go there? You're literally gonna die. Moving on at number 7, we have Centralia. Centralia is an abandoned town located in Pennsylvania. Now, it was once a very populated town. However, a lot of residents had to leave because of unsafe living conditions. This all started after a coal fire ignited underground. The fire is still going on. It's been burning for over 50 years. And it's predicted to continue burning for another 200 years. As a result of the fire, tons of sinkholes have formed, and hot smoke is released underground, and carbon monoxide has filled some residents' basements. In fact, in some parts of the town that's affected, it's said that the ground beneath them have reached up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 400 degrees Celsius for us Canadians. Now, the US government is trying to completely erase the history of this city. They took away any signs directing people to this town, removed the town's zip code, and forced most residents out, but there are some people that just refuse to to leave. They're still living there. So far, it's said that there are about 7 residents that are still living there. Who knows how many people are still living there today. In our 6th spot, we have the Metropolitan State Hospital. Located in Massachusetts, this hospital opened in 1930 and it was for patients with mental illness. But in 1980, something very sinister happened at this hospital that gave the hospital the nickname, the Hospital of 7 Teeth. So back in 1978, a patient named Anna Marie Davy went out for a walk on the grounds and she never returned. In 1980, a patient named Melvin Wilson came forward saying that he had killed her and buried her body parts all across the grounds. The only thing left of her were her 7 teeth, which he kept as a little memento. Hence why it was given the nickname the Hospital of 7 Teeth. That's not the only bad thing that has happened there though. Years before this incident, in the 1960s, a bunch of patients were accidentally poisoned. In 1992, the hospital was closed after psychiatric care in Massachusetts became more privatized. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with North Brother Island. North Brother Island is a 20-acre island located in New York City's East River. The island was once home to Riverside Hospital, which was built to quarantine people with smallpox. Now, since the island was so isolated from others, they thought it would be the perfect place to, kind of store the sick people, just shove them on the island. In fact, Typhoid Mary spent some time there herself. If you didn't know, Mary Mallon, otherwise known as Typhoid Mary, was a cook that worked for a bunch of different families, and she got her name because she was asymptomatic and she had the typhoid germ and was infecting people without even knowing it. So as a result, she infected 51 individuals and killed 3. So she was forced to live on this island for the rest of her life in isolation. Then in 1943, they used the hospital to house people with tuberculosis. But by the 60s, it was just abandoned. And now the island is completely off limits to people, and of course it has the reputation of being haunted because people died on that island. Moving on to number 4, we have the Hearn Generating Station. Now, this is actually located in Toronto, Ontario, my little home city. The Hearn Generating Station is an abandoned power plant. Now, it's a pretty impressive building, I'm not gonna lie, but I've never even been there, so. The only thing is that this 400,000 square foot plant is very dangerous. A couple of years ago, the city's fire department deemed it an unsafe venue. It's also the site of a very, very tragic accident. On June 15th, 2008, urban explorer Ryan Nienhuis entered the building and fell 3 stories into a coal chute. He was trapped in there for 3 hours, pinned under a steel plate. He was rescued, but he sadly died 2 days later in the hospital. And at number 3, we have Hotel de Salto. Hotel de Salto first opened in 1928 and was very popular among tourists as it was close to the Tequendama Falls. However, as years went on, they discovered that the water at the falls was contaminated. Tourists gradually lost interest in the area, and the hotel wasn't getting a lot of people like they used to. In the early 1990s, the hotel was abandoned. Now, it's said to be a very haunted place. Apparently, over the years, a lot of people took their life at this hotel and near the falls. So people are convinced that the area is actually cursed and that something there will force you to take your own life while you're there. And at number 2, we have St. George Church. Located in Lukova, Czech Republic, this church was first built in the 14th century. It was a pretty popular church, but was abandoned in the 1960s after the roof collapsed during a funeral. People took this as a bad omen and they're like, we're not coming back to this church. And since then, it's just been abandoned. Legend goes that the church is haunted. So, because of people thinking it's haunted, an artist was like, well, let's make it look haunted. So now inside the church are 32 life-sized cloak statues of ghosts with their heads bowing down. It's absolutely terrifying looking. Like, why would you put scary statues in a place that's already haunted? Just saying. And in our number one spot today, we have the Patarei Prison. Before becoming a prison building, this was actually a sea fortress in the 1840s. Then from 1919 to 2002, it was a penitentiary used by the Soviets. And it had a pretty notorious reputation of being one of the scariest places in Estonia. If you enter the building, you'll find Soviet telephone books, old posters, and creepy hospital rooms with sharp medical tools and blood-stained blankets. In fact, this operation room is said to be the most haunted location in the whole building. The room is filled with odd-looking machines and rusted beds with straps on them that are blood-stained. Some people say that they feel like they're being watched whenever they go into this building. Others have felt like something is lurking right behind them and like following their every move. What's worse is that there's an actual execution room there. That's where the prisoners would kneel down with their head against the wall and they would be shot at the back of the head. The bullet holes are still there on the wall to this day. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move right along to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video, Scariest Doppelganger Stories That You Won't Believe. At Life commented, "Hey Lindsay, I love your videos, keep it up. Thank you so much. I am currently a one-woman team right now. I am scripting, filming, and editing on top of acting full-time and doing content creation for TikTok and Instagram. So it's hard to get videos up, but I'm doing my best. I am trying for at least 2 videos a week. Yay! Seeing the Forest commented, "Love you, Lindsay. Keep the content coming. Like I said, I'm doing the best I can. I will always get some content out for you guys. Don't worry." And Steve J commented, "Love listening to these spooky stories. Hello from Yukon, eh?" Yes, another fellow Canadian. What's up? Also, yes, every Friday, like I said, we're doing Freaky Friday, so it's spooky stories. And I also do daily reels, so there you go. All right, guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below if you want to be featured in the next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and obviously subscribe to my channel. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan. Stick around for some bloopers, and I'll see you when I see ya. Bye. Is my microphone gonna work for me? Who knows? Built in prisoners were located 400, Gorge, whatever. Moving on to number 7, we have Centralia. It stopped at again, the fucking audio. I didn't even bang it or anything. I am gonna scream. You make me wanna shout, throw my hands up and shout. At least I noticed it this time. Okay, so only 2 minutes of the audio being gross. This microphone. Are you gonna work for me, bud? In fact, typhoid